I'm Anita Sood, and I lead Microsoft's Tech for Social Impact work across Asia. And it's such a pleasure to be here. It's actually a gift to be here today. We have many of our Asia customers and partners here interacting with all of you across the world. And what's really special is we have thousands of people streaming in now, and I know Asia's just woken up, so good morning. We have good evening in EMEA and in the US live right now in the afternoon. Now, what we're going to talk about is something very special. And what it is the reflections of us as an industry about how do we lead in AI transformation together. And these reflections are going to be raw, so bear with us, because we do want to show that we went from an idea of AI a couple of years ago to now bringing it to life. And what's really, really important for us as today, as we reflect, is how do we bring AI and the missions that we're serving together. And that's not just technology alone, it's about the people. And a story that's really, really close to my heart, you're just going to watch a video in one moment, is about the British Heart Foundation. And what they've done with AI is truly groundbreaking. You cannot even imagine of what they've been able to do. They've had breakthroughs that we didn't even know could be possible a couple of months ago, a couple of years ago. And something that was most powerful was actually about giving time back to the team. And what that was taking off workloads that could be done by Microsoft Copilot, that could be done in a way of an AI-centric organization. So we're going to watch the video and take a moment to see where AI and mission come together, and then we're going to have some fun together. Roll the video.
The mission of the British Heart Foundation is to free the world from the fear of cardiovascular disease, so essentially to save as many lives as possible.
It made a lot of sense for us to explore Microsoft 365 Copilot.
I was spending so much time just composing emails. With the introduction of Copilot, I'm able to cut that down by about 50%.
We hope that these technologies will enable our colleagues to keep working hard on our mission and free up more time to help us focus on is supporting people's hearts.
What you just saw there is a spirit of possibility. The spirit also about purpose. And what we've been talking about today, and not just here in this room, but in the many conversations we've been having, is how do we connect the people with AI? And so I'm really excited. We have 4 change makers that are here today. And what they're going to talk to us, like I said, is raw and real. It's not just about the perfect AI journey. It's not about having that big strategy or that big breakthrough. It's actually those actions that we're learning together. And so with those actions that we're going to learn and we're going to share, I'll just challenge you that as you leave today's session, as you think about what is that one action? What is that one action I'm going to take? So before I bring them on, they're very excited. Behind the scenes here is I just wanted to leave you with a quote that my 100-year-old grandmother always says to me. And use this quote throughout as we start to hear some of these lessons learned, the raw leadership experiences that we're having with AI transformation. So the quote is, Anita, she always says, cross the river by feeling the stones. Cross the river by feeling the stones. And what I want you to understand is what it means is we may not know what the right next step is with AI transformation, or even just getting the data set ready, or getting the secure controls in place. But it's all about making that next step with purpose and care. So without further ado, I'm going to bring along 4 special speakers here today who really have brought to us the life of what AI is. So let's put a round of applause together, and we'll have first Claire Babinoff-Fontenot, the CEO of Feed America. Claire.
Hey, hey.
Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Can't wait for you to share some of the stories, especially the ones we just talked backstage. And we have our very own Andrew Dome, the Chief Digital Information Officer from Uniting New South Wales and ACT. We have Chantal Forster, AI resident. I think you're one of the first, aren't you, of strategy at the Annenberg Foundation. I think we all need to learn, actually, about this AI strategy resident. That is a role that I'm super excited to learn a bit more about. And last but not least, Miguel Fiallos, CIO of the Salvation Army. He begged me to do that. All right. as we take a seat here, everyone, let's just take a beat in a moment. I think what we'll do, just to ground ourselves, is as I ask a couple of questions, could you just share a slight introduction, but we'll twist it up. The introduction with a defining moment as you've gone through the AI transformation in your organisation. So Claire, we'll start with you.
Sure, happy to do that. And in fact, I thought I was thinking about how I might introduce myself and thought that maybe that's not exactly what I should do at the moment. Instead of introducing myself, it's a bit of an illusion. In fact, I'm not here representing me. I'm here representing the 50 million people in the United States who experience hunger, nearly 14 million of whom are children. In this role as CEO of Feeding America, that's really the most important thing for me to always keep in mind and contemplate what is it that they want for themselves? What would it mean for them to live out their dreams the way I've had the opportunity to live out mine? So Feeding America Network is a network of hundreds of food banks across the country, tens of thousands of meal programs and of pantries stretch all across the country as well. To give you a sense of scale, last year we provided 7 billion pounds of food, nearly 6 billion meals. But then I'm going to get to the AI story now. But we actually aren't the very best at making certain that people experiencing hunger get access to food. There's a federal nutrition program that was called food stamps that does a much better job than we, and we're pretty amazing, by the way, for the record. SNAP is what it's called today. For every one meal that the remarkable Feeding America Network can provide, SNAP can provide 9. And with the provision of those meals also comes dignity, dignified choice, and ability to stimulate the economy. For every $1 invested in SNAP, about $2 return in the economy. It helps small, medium, and large-sized businesses. It's a beautiful, creates beautiful possibilities for people as a bridge. But here's the thing. The way that things are structured, although it's considered an entitlement on the state level, is where it's administered, it can be really, really, really hard for people to actually get the benefits. So it's only theoretical for so many people. And then comes AI. One of the most powerful ways that we've used AI at Feeding America is that we actually provide more SNAP assistance for applications because of our scale than most. And inside of those moments, we've been using AI to demystify the application process, to make it much more user-friendly, to take out the bureaucracy. And as a result, AI has helped to make certain that people get that dignified access. So I'm thrilled to have an opportunity to talk about that. And by the way, I thank you for inviting me to be here today, and the rest of the 50 million people that I'm here to represent.
I think what you shared there is that connection of the purpose and people, which we spoke about previously. But AI in this case is more than an algorithm, as you said. It followed through. Andrew, how about you share a little bit, Feeding America through to Uniting. Could you share a little bit about yourself and your organisation?
Yeah, absolutely. So Uniting Care, or Uniting New South Wales ACT, is a not-for-profit, obviously. We're one of the largest ones in Australia. We have 12,000 employees, and we service about 150,000 customers every single year. And one of the challenges or the business problems that we had is our frontline workers every day are dealing with customers, particularly in aged care. They don't have a lot of time to spend with technology and IT. So we really wanted to change the way that they worked and make it easier for them to do their transactional activities. And I'll give you an example. When they are dealing in aged care, they may have to write up a keynote for a customer that they've dealt with this for that day, and it may be a form which says what medication was taken, what the sentiment of that customer was like. And they typically do this at the end of the day, and they go to a kiosk machine and they log on, and it's the old days of trying to log on. It takes 5 minutes to do this, and it turns into a transaction which is about 15 to 20 minutes. And we said there's got to be a better way to do this. So we're completely changing the way that they are working. we're making the smartphone as the device of choice. And now that individual can do the update on that keynote or that information that's needed to go into our clinical system at the point of care. They don't have to go into a kiosk machine. They can do it as they are dealing with that customer. The content isn't lost at the end of the day. And so we're really turning those sort of 12 to 15-minute activities and making them 2-minute activities. And what does that actually mean? It means we're returning time back in the day for our employees. So if I can return sort of 13, 15 minutes each of those transactions that our frontline workers have to do every day, times that by 7,500 of them, it's a massive return. And we actually have a mantra at Uniting, which is we like to hold the hand and not the pen. And when I say pen, I'm actually going to pull this out because I've got a New Zealand accent. You might not think what I'm talking about. So this is the pen that I'm talking about. We want to remove the administration burden.
Yes.
And we want them to concentrate on looking after our customers rather than have to do all that administration at the end of the day. So AI is enabling us to do that. We're enabling them to do voice to text. They can create that keynote for the day. They can do it in their native language. So if it's Nepalese, which 17% of our workforce are, they can do it in Nepalese. It will convert it into English, and then it will put it into the clinical back system, the enterprise system. And that's just one use case. We've got multiple other ones that we're now building on. But really, our goal is to remove or eliminate as much of that administration burden as possible and get them back doing what they want to do, which is actually giving care at the front line for our customers.
Yeah, Andrew, linking back to Mike's speech and then conversation and the video we just saw there, and what Claire said, the person's at the heart here, whether it's who we're caring or serving, or right through to, as you said, caring for our own employees in the not-for-profit. Chantal, do you want to share a little bit about yourself and maybe a bit about this role that was created?
Sure, I'm happy to. So it's an incredible honor to be one of the first AI fellows or strategy residents in philanthropy. And so I serve the Annenberg Foundation based in Los Angeles. It's been a year-long AI residency. And the Annenberg Foundation was unique in their approach. Much of philanthropy, as many of you might know, is somewhat siloed. So there's the operational half, and then there's the programmatic half, and never the twain shall meet. What Annenberg asked of me was to serve as air traffic control and Sherpa and steward of a holistic approach, a 360-degree approach that addressed their operational use of AI, the programmatic potential for AI, and then also to, and this was the most beautiful part to me, to report out and share with the field what we were learning. And those of you who have worked with foundations know what courage it takes to share when you don't have the answer, to share when you are learning. And so for the past year, I have been fortunate enough to be working under the hood, but then also reporting out on LinkedIn at various conferences, sharing one-on-one. I've spoken to almost 400 foundations in North America, the EU, and the UK as part of my residency with Annenberg, sharing what we're doing, what we know, and what we don't know. So maybe later in the session I can share a little bit about what we are learning.
Well, you will be. We're just warming up. Miguel, wrap us up. Just a little introduction, just so people can get a feel and a sense and around what you might be doing with AI. But then we're going to get raw, as we promised, because that's the most important thing.
So I'm Miguel, Salvation Army UK and Ireland, and we operate across the United Kingdom and Ireland. We have operate from about 800 locations around where we deliver services of all sorts. We have 100 life houses where we care for people, and we also have 12 care homes and 600 churches. So we're a charity and a church foremost, and for us and we have 6,000 employees and 1,200 officers. I report to our lieutenant colonel. It's supposed to be an army. Sometimes the army has no discipline. So for us, it's difficult then to try, and they're the shapers of the organization. They're the cultural custodians. So for me, it's important to get them on board. I shared a story earlier on, which I will share with you, in terms of user AI. It's a very short one. So we have this amazing orator. He's a great preacher. And one of his challenges has always been, he's stressed on a Saturday night because he's got to deliver a service on Sunday. When I met with him, I said, look, let's have a conversation. So he asked me to write, well, I said to him, let me show you what AI can do. So I said to him, here's a session on love, compassion, kindness, with biblical references, you know what? And it brought it up right away. His face was it was just glowing. You know what? He said, you just released my stress levels, something incredibly. He now has a Saturday where he can enjoy his life and actually get back to the community. So by releasing that tension, he's able to focus on other things. So the power of AI was, you know, having faith a little bit, you know, and obviously there's a higher power, according to him, that led him to that faith, but that's another conversation.
And look, it's beautiful. I think you're getting the theme here is people, AI and centering people around it. And let's go a bit deeper, Claire, the challenges, because it wasn't a straightforward road.
Yeah,
We together as an industry didn't know all the answers.
well,
So
it's still not a straightforward road, right?
You could go a little bit under the
We have not arrived at the ultimate destination, but it's been quite a journey already. And it feels like this is technology that's still in its infancy, so I'm really looking forward to where it is that we ultimately will land with this. But we're already, so one of the big challenges, I think, is for me as a late adopter, not an early adopter of technology, is to take the first step. And I've heard some people talk about that, and I'm sure we'll have an opportunity to talk some more. But taking that first step, not betting the farm on the first step and learning as you go. And boy, have we been learning some things. So we do a lot of work in food rescue as an organization, and maybe this audience would not be aware of that. Largest food rescue organization in the United States, rescuing billions of pounds of perfectly nutritious and edible food, while 50 million people are food insecure in the country. That's a mixed match that we could do something about, and we're working to do it. Well, we're working to use technology and to use AI to help enable that. So one of the early barriers around using that technology is a lack of familiarity. And in that space of food rescue, we have this app called Meal Connect, and it's designed to connect people who have food, especially large donors who have food to provide, with the pantry or partner who's well positioned to receive it. This AI technology is so remarkable that now, rather than them have to come up with a lot of descriptions on what exactly it is that they have, they can actually take a picture of it, and AI will then take that picture and translate it into information that then gets sent, and then the match happens. So it's making it easier and easier. The big barrier to start with is that people will think it'll be harder and harder. So getting people to try is a really big one. Now, there's something else I'm going to take a point of personal privilege with, if you don't mind, if with your indulgence. I think in the space, especially at Feeding America, I often find myself in positions where we're talking about numbers that are so big that maybe they don't feel real to people. So with your indulgence, I'd love to talk about Copilot, and I'd like to bring it down, not from 50 million. Yep. What if I talked about two people? So one person, his name's Nigel, and he works on the Feeding America technology team. And Nigel has a sister that he loves dearly and has deep respect and regard for, and her name is Nicole. Mm-hmm. And Nicole has cerebral palsy and also has diabetes and is in an assisted living environment. That assisted living environment has fallen upon some challenging times from a budgetary perspective. So they're having trouble making ends meet, and that can have a significant impact on Nicole's quality of life. Well, they're using Copilot, so thank you, Microsoft, the technology in Copilot to help come up with dietarily appropriate meals for her and for the other people in the facility. They're using Copilot also to come up with curated opportunities for physical exertion. You know, what are they going to do in terms of how they maintain their health? They're using Copilot also for educational tools for the staff. So the work that we're talking about, this technology, it's not only something that applies in big, big numbers, but it's individual people, and it impacts real lives in really, really positive ways.
I'm so glad
I'm grateful to you for what you're doing there, not just for Feeding America and the 50 million people, but for Nigel and for Nicole and for all of the people that I won't get to mention today.
I think it's always, it's like a Rubik's Cube, AI or any new innovation. Until you put it in examples like that, we cannot feel it anymore. And Andrew, just linking to that, you're looking at AI in a very social, like very complex community care environment. Like that's extremely complex from the youth all the way through the aged care. Can you share like a little bit of a twist on that? So with your own team and own journey, what have you learned? And make it real. Make it real.
I'll make it real.
Make it real.
So I think one of the biggest issues that we had in terms of coming up, and we co-designed that first use case with our business. So it wasn't IT coming with, we've got AI, let's go and just deliver it and see what happens. We co-designed it with our business. We had hackathons. We worked out what the use cases were, and then we prioritized those. And we decided on the biggest value one, that was the lowest risk, and that was content retrieval around policies and procedures, which a lot of companies and orgs actually do. So it was easy for us to, create that first use case and then think about co-designing it with the business, but also get the executives on board for that journey, which was really, really important, because if you have a conversation with the board, as many people know, they're all about risk mitigation. And a year ago, when people were talking about AI, they went, okay, yeah, what are you doing about risk mitigation? And by the way, what's your AI policy and guidelines? And when you were talking with your colleagues, they go, well, no one's written them yet, so we better do something in that space. But actually think about your policies and procedures. People have policies and procedures in place already now. You'll have acceptable use of computers. You'll have a data and governance policy. So you don't have to start from scratch. You can use those and use that as the basis of your AI guidelines and policy. So we put that in place, presented to that board, that very, very low-risk use case, got the buy-in very early. And in fact, we went to Microsoft offices in Sydney, and we showed them, we got the board in there, executives in there, and we showed them this first use case, which was a simple chat GPT type of experience where you typed in your question or did your voice to text. They saw it, saw the content being returned in seconds, and were just blown away and went, awesome, we're all in. You've got your guiding principles in place, you've got a policy, so let's do that. So that was the first part. And then the second challenge that we actually had was around, how do we actually get this out to our employees? In aged care, we are dealing with a customer and a demographic, which is obviously of a certain age, but actually in Uniting, our employees are also following a similar demographic. That's just the way it kind of works. So by making our first use case and that UI for that kind of chat GPT experience with one field, you could just speak in there and retrieve your content very, very quickly. We could get them thinking about this. And the last thing that we did, and to connect our workforce together, is we went out and we created a program called Connecting You. And that Connecting You program was sending out our IT professionals, going out to every single site and talking to our employees, showing them how easy it was to connect to Wi-Fi, get them used to the apps that were already in operation, and then showing them what this first use case for AI was. And they got it, and then they started using it. So they really embraced that technology. So the two outtakes was really showing the executives really early on in the piece, showing them that it was low risk, showing them that we had created our AI guidelines and policies, making it mandatory for our users to use it, but then really going out on site and showing our employees how to use it. That was really, really important to uplift the uptake.
I think what's interesting there is that balance of building that trust and space, because it was a journey. And what Andrew didn't share is actually in that first co-creation, the hackathon you did with the whole organisation, there were over 50 use cases. Everyone was so excited about the potential. You got it down to 10, 2, and that process and bringing the organisation along is a hard one. So thank you for your leadership, and thank you for everyone's leadership who's going through it. But doing both the employee through to the board is kind of a weave. And Claire, that's your speciality. Did you want to add anything there around that? Because bringing the board on board, bringing the exec team on board and really diffusing that AI strategy, could you share a little bit about what you're learning and hearing?
You know, it's interesting. And how real do you want me to be? Because I
think we need to go a notch.
Okay.
It's feeling a bit friendly.
Because I'm from the south side of Chicago.
Yeah, it's feeling a bit friendly.
Okay. So prior to my residency with the Annenberg Foundation, I led the Technology Association of Grantmakers, which serves funders throughout the world, and so have access to a large number of funders. And so what I have learned over the past year and a half in wrestling with AI is that, well, there are three things I guess I would share, and they're not all good news, but this is some real talk here. So first of all, if I ask a CEO of a foundation or a CIO, are your staff using AI? They'll say, oh no, nobody's using AI because we don't have our policy in place yet. True or false?
I'm sure you've got the hands raised here.
Yeah, one of the first things I do, and I've done this survey at over 20 different foundations in the United States, is an anonymous survey of staff. And ask them what AI tools they're using, what they're doing, so how they feel about AI, and what percentage would you guess of staff are using AI? 40 to 65%. So on average, more than half of their staff are already using AI technologies. Unfortunately, often the free version of these technologies, which is a massive privacy and security loophole. So that's one of the hard lessons that I'm learning, and we're all learning together. Another one is, and thanks to the Annenberg Foundation, I'm able to elevate this one. We at Annenberg did that survey with our staff, and then we did it externally with our grantees. We asked them the exact same questions. And doing that was important because it allowed us to learn things like this. One of the questions asks, what are you doing with AI? And there's options. What would you like to be doing with AI? Options. In every category of what we're doing and would like to be doing, nonprofits wanted more AI than foundation staff. Why is that? Because foundations don't have the same pressure points or financial pressures or parameters that nonprofits do. And this is important for those of us who are on the funder side of the house. We have the privilege to be inefficient if we so choose. Nonprofits don't have that privilege. And so it was an important moment for Annenberg where we realized, wow, we don't understand what our grantees would like from AI, so let's dig even more deeply. And so we did. The third gap, though, that I noticed, and this is, was true at Annenberg, and it's true at many foundations, there's a large tech and data literacy gap within foundation staff and many nonprofit staff. They're the early adopter folks, and then there are the folks that, you know, don't file their own travel expenses, right? Don't know how to use collaboration software. So at Annenberg, we realized that inclusivity in AI means that all staff get access to AI tools, and all staff get access to the training that they need to use those tools, regardless of their starting point. So yes, that means there are special sessions for people, and that's what inclusivity in the AI world looks like. So reflecting on these, I think what I've learned and what I share with my colleagues is, think about AI in two parts, the AI journey, the transformation journey. Think about basic provisioning first, AI for productivity, close those security and privacy loopholes, get people some tools, give them the like ice cream sandwich of tools with guardrails, like an AI policy and training. Take a bite of the sandwich, go, get your productivity tools out, while perhaps you're also thinking about AI for strategic insight, a larger build, a deeper investment, but you've got to address the basic productivity tools first.
I think that first step you're talking about, that survey, by the way, we haven't talked about that. I love that. That is like and actually going out to the community because you get a real pulse and sense. And I know many of you are polling.
And it has to be
community.
anonymous. It has to be anonymous.
That was the piece there. And again, you go back to the people, the care of thinking about the AI use cases. Miguel, take us home with, like, can you just, like, the stakeholder engagement? It's so complex. We just only started with Andrew touching on it. Can you just go a little bit deeper?
Absolutely. I think, you have to engage with the board from day one. When AI first came out, people didn't know what AI was, so we had to engage with this leadership to make sure they could see what value it would add, but also make them understand that it wasn't threatening people's jobs, actually. It was there to augment their capacity to help them. So for us, is making sure that we set up a policy to make sure that people understood what they could do with it. But more importantly, everybody owns AI. IT does an AI. The board doesn't own AI. We created an AI working group, so, stakeholders across the organization who have their own networks, sit on their own boards. What we did is onboarded, when everyone onboarded Copilot, they were part of our initial discussion. So for me, it was important to be able to do that. And it was still very difficult to engage with the stakeholders, but we had great assistance from Microsoft, in terms of making sure we had the right people working with us, the right partners, so that we can then create an environment. And we went for 150 users, actually, which is quite brave. And some people didn't want it, but we encouraged them to come to the table. And what we promised them is that we would do it. We did 3 months of concerted promotion, and we had prompathons. We invited different teams, and we got him actually to, we focused on the different areas of expertise: fundraising, legal, procurement, etc. And that was quite an exercise to be able to do that. But for me, it was wonderful to see, and we monitored the usage. I think that was quite important.
That's the nugget there.
Yeah.
Can you just share a bit more about that, monitoring the usage in a positive way?
Absolutely.
Encourage.
Absolutely. And I think, we're a small team, so we had to then make sure that we looked at the dashboards to see how many people were using it. And the team are on it to say, actually, why aren't you using the Copilot? 147 people over 3 months, and we're still monitoring, are using Copilot all the time. And if they weren't using it, we'll go back to them and say, why aren't you using it? How can we help? What can we do? So that is the beauty of it. And that, for me, is something, somebody's got to take responsibility for that. It's a major change management process. It is different. We have to win hearts and minds. For us, you continue to win hearts and minds. That's what you need to do. Get somebody who will buy into it, who will help you, and you can do it. I think Microsoft can do more, and I think they will do more to make that process easier, because they do cost money, and people do expect, return on the investment. We've had it for more than fourfold. In one exercise, we did 477% return on investment we had. We tried to take some licenses away from people, and they said, no, you can't. You can't have it. It's all ours.
It's not about the license. It's when Copilot is your Copilot.
Exactly.
Can you imagine a world without it? And so it goes back to that first step, doing it with trust, doing it with purpose, getting the stakeholders on board. At our family dinner table, I've got a daughter and son. My husband and I always say, what is your one wish and one star? These guys don't know. They're going to share with me a one wish and star. So one star is something you really have had an aha moment, or something you're proud about through the implementation and journey of AI. So hold that thought. Each of you are going to share. And one wish is, what wish do you have for the industry as we go on this transformation together? And with that, have in mind the people we're serving, the people in our organisation. Miguel, you want to go first?
Yeah, one star actually for me you have to promote. So I'm going to live with the most senior member of the organisation, and we're having a conversation. So this is an elevator pitch, and again, it was around showing him what Copilot could do. Again, in terms of something that could relate to him. So again, I'm composing a prayer for him on kindness, compassion, and better living, again with biblical references. That elevated the tone of the conversation and gave us an opportunity for us then to expand it even further with the major stakeholder groups in terms of the church side of things.
And your wish?
My wish is,
the industry with
my wish for the industry, you know,
go through his
I've been humbled this week in terms of, I talk to a lot of people, everybody I meet, I talk to, we're doing so much amazing work here, and I think we should, I want to be able to share with you, we should be able to create a library of maybe Microsoft Help where we can put stuff there, we can all contribute, not reinvent the wheel. You know, for me, not reinventing the wheel is important. The less we can spend doing things, you know, let's be generous to each other in terms of what we have available. For me, that's going to be massively helpful. And that, imagine that money can be put to better use if we can do that. You know, for me, it's share, connect, and make it happen. For me, that's my wish.
I like that. Thank you. A star and a wish.
Oh, a star and a wish. You know, my star, my realization was when something that the CEO of the Annenberg Foundation said early in our journey, Cindy Kennard, she said, you know, we as funders have an opportunity, even a responsibility to steer AI, to not just use it, but to steer it in the direction of equitable access and human flourishing. And so that was a moment that I think leads to my wish, which is that we lean in to our gaps. The world of AI and emerging tech is a gap for many of us if we're honest about it. Lean into that gap so that we can steward the use of these technologies in our field, by the field, for the field, so they are not stewarded for us by someone else.
What they don't also know is they're going to write their wish and star down to its commitments. But anyway, Andrew, wish and star.
So I think that the star would be the absolute buy-in and support of our board and our executives from day one. And I think the way that we did do that is go and show them that first basic use case, partner up, go and do it at the Microsoft offices if they're willing to do it, see it on the big screen, and they were just completely blown away. And were willing to support us with the governance and controls around it as well. And I think my wish is that we continue this journey, but we do it in an ethical, it's a scalable way, and we do it in a way that is only going to give benefits to humans, and we deal with humans every single day in the sector that I play in. We do no harm, and we're providing an uplift in the experience for our employees and our customers.
Thank you. And Claire, to wrap it up, the star and wish.
I'd like my star to not just be about AI, but to be about technology.
Thank you.
In fact, I was thinking about it today, and I just did a post about it on this very day. My star would be a moment of unique epiphany for me as it relates to the power of technology. I was watching a news program, and on that news program, they were capturing images of people living in a village in Africa. And in those images, and with the story that was attached to it, they were talking about the fact that this was a village that had no running water, that had no electricity inside of the homes. And while I'm watching, I start noticing something kind of glimmering in somebody's hand. And I look more closely, and I realize that it's a lady, and she's holding a cell phone. And then there's another person there who's holding a cell phone. And then there are other people who are holding cell phones. And I'm thinking, oh my goodness. Before that moment, I was thinking, I wonder how long it will take to build all the infrastructure that's necessary for this village to get all the things that I take for granted every day. You know, like landlines. So my wish for all of us is that we don't think in landlines, that we think in cell phones, and we think in what's after the cell phone. That we contemplate how technology has this beautiful power of leapfrogging all kinds of things and of equalizing things for people who deserve exactly what you deserve and what I deserve. So my wish is that people can fulfill their dreams and their wishes through the kind of work that people like all of you will do in enabling technology.
Well, firstly, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. In a moment, we'll give a round of applause to this panel. And my ask for you is, before you leave today, write down, what is that star? The moment you've had around AI, and what is your wish, and share it. Feel free to share it on LinkedIn. Feel free to share it, because I think that's how together we're going to learn. If one thing is true, AI plus mission plus our people, which equals our community, which equals the industry as well, like we will get there and we will do things we cannot even imagine now. But we have to take the first step, the most important step. These guys are available through different ways and different networks if you do want to go under the covers of some more. But I do want to generally thank you, and thank you guys.
Thank you.
Each of you. Thank you.